Okay, perfect. And it is exciting times when we get to have co-founder on our 90-day run. I am super excited to have her on. It is also probably, we set this date months ago when we knew we were having the 90-day run, and it couldn't have been more perfect for her to come on when we've had our record month for many of you. And Hilda, I told you last time you were on, I absolutely love the group here that is on. I absolutely just, I know our group, they are so many of these people that are top presidents. Hilda, it is, I can't, I keep writing you, telling you how proud I am of this group. And those that didn't hit their goals are determined that they're going to hit them and are really setting their goals and making their plans to make sure they hit their goals. So everybody's on this improvement time. So Hilda, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Oh, good. I'm so excited to be with you. I just got home here from, we have a flying group from Lithuania. So this is my first Zoom meeting today. So I've been standing here, standing on the hotel and educating people for many, many hours here today. But I'm so excited to spend some time with you. And I want to start off with congratulating you with an exceptional May. I know that we have two new directors in the house, Patricia and Ricardo, and then Patricia and Carlos, right? I had to double check because it was so similar, two couples. I know that director is very often one of those ranks where you still feel that you're going to be involved in everything, right? You literally have to coordinate, close all the contracts. But when you hit director, very often what happens is that you get a little bit more into that duplication mode, right? Suddenly there is more leaders who's earning money and is really pulling the load together with you. And I know that director is such a milestone. And I know how hard you really got to work to make that come true. So my utmost biggest congratulations. You're doing a marvelous job. And then we also have one lady in the house who we were just super excited to be able to announce as a new ambassador. And I know that this has been on your list for a long time, Carla. Carla has been so important for both Orion and myself, for the entire company. You've been building brick by brick. You've been staying calm through many storms. You've been pushing through so many challenges, Carla. Just leading with love, leading with heart. Also, surely being our heart of Zinzino on the previous
Ready?
event. So we are just really so proud to have the opportunity to call you our new ambassador. We love you and we cherish you, and we're so grateful for the leadership that you show.
Oh, thank you, Hilda. It means so much to me. But it is
And
a team effort. It wasn't me. I mean, you said, you into everything at the Diamond and many times the director. And from there, you need to have the team. And
Mhm,
that's one reason I'm so excited for this group
mhm,
because the amount of leadership, people taking
mhm.
charge, people taking that leadership, that's this group, Hilda.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not in doubt that there's going to be a lot of presidents because they are doing that. We have a fantastic culture in the
Mhm.
group and we have a fantastic they're just great people. They've done the personal development. They started out here. So it's just I'm super proud of them.
I know, I know. And I was actually having a conversation with Kerstin Öhman. Kerstin and Tim are one of our leaders in Sweden here. And they also achieved Royal Ambassador this last month. And she was, and it's been fascinating because they hit ambassador back in, I think it was 2018, maybe 2019, and then it's been a long time where they've been on that level, very stable though, but not necessarily hitting that next growth wave. And this last month they did, and she said, when I was speaking with her, she said, "Well, it's so exceptional, to see what is happening in the entire company, and the motivation is stronger than ever before." And then she said, "It's really impressive to see where we have gotten as a company." And then I said to her, "I agree." And then I just said, one of the things that I think is so important to remind ourselves about along this journey is that this is not, one leader rank advancing to another level. And I think that one of the big traps that one can easily fall into, and I know this because I'm speaking with a lot of corporate owners, company owners from different companies, as well as also huge network marketing leaders that is looking into Zinzino. One of the big traps to fall into is to believe that you did it by yourself. And there is no victory that is created alone. And that is one of the things that I always say to everyone, recognize every level. It's not a jump to president. It's not a jump to Black Crown or to ambassador. Every single level is so extraordinary important. And what you make important, your team will make important. If you make silver important, if you make gold important, if you make executive important, people will do a lot to reach that level. And I think that what we recognize is what's going to be duplicated. So I couldn't agree more with you, Carla. But again, you've stayed the distance, you've paid the price. Consistency always pays off, and we're so proud. Okay, so today I'm very flexible on what we're going to cover here today. Carla has asked me to cover a little bit around urgency. And I think that is an important topic now, because if I remember right, this group is now in a stage where it's like the last kind of push of the 90-day run. Now, before I jump into that, and we're going to keep it short this time, we're going to keep it to 30 minutes. But before I run into that, do any of you have any specific questions, anything that you're battling with at this point that you feel, oh, I really need an answer when it comes to this area? So I'll open up the mic here, and if there is like one or two questions, we can start with that, and then we're gonna run into topic. Lena, yes?
Yes. So we meet this quite a lot, that we have people who are positive, like the business, like the products, but they have to feel it. They have to get home and get the right connection in their gut or in their heart.
Times happens is that when we present, we lead with product, which is totally okay. But if you don't paint a clear picture about where you are going, about your vision, about why it's important to have a certain urgency now, why this is a good timing to get started, a lot of people can easily fall into the thinking mode. Now, we should also remember that when we do this, we kind of have to be a little bit investigators, detectives, right? And sometimes when it comes to objectives, we gotta peel the onion. And very often, the reason why someone is maybe using one or saying one thing, I got to feel this, I got to think about it, is really because there is an underlying question. So, in that regard, I would say I absolutely understand. And if they use the word feel, I would have used the word feel as well. I can absolutely feel you. I'm also one of the people, who like to have a good gut feeling about what I do. But just by curiosity, if you were going to do this business, what would make it important enough for you? What would you have liked to gotten out of it? Now, I'm serious about reaching XYZ during the upcoming year, and we're looking for some solid leaders who would like to try it out. And use try it out, because sometimes also if we get too serious about things, people feel that they need to make a life decision. And this is seriously not a life decision. And I think it's totally okay to start out this business with trying it out. Try it out, and try it out for the next 120 days, right? Try it out for the next year. Try it out for the next 2 to 4 years. It's like one of the things that I said to myself when I made my decision to do this business for real, after I kind of had, I failed with everything that I tried for the first 4 months. I said to myself, I'm going to give it 2 to 4 years trying it out, where I stick myself to certain habits. And then I'm going to analyze, right? So I think sometimes if you make it like a huge decision, people think of it as a life major decision, and then they got to think. So it's a little bit around how you find the need, how you transfer the feeling, how you transfer the urgency, and how you make it important enough for people to act now. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Any other questions? One more question before we jump into message. Everything is crystal clear. You don't need me.
I don't think that's true, Hilda, but I do think you're hitting something on the head in regards to finding that need, because a lot of people, and I hear this, and it's like a natural thing for people to do, is to try to find out if they're interested in something before they've even invited them to a meeting. And in some ways, people don't know what they're saying yes or no to, so they kind of push back because they feel like you're getting something that they need to do something for you, or they have to give something, or but it's a natural thing that people are like trying to, give an offer or talk about what, so talk about Encino and not really showing them what.
And I think that everything's about wording, right? It's like when we invite someone to a meeting, and there is like 1,000 different ways to invite someone. Someone pick up the phone. I'm old school. I usually do that, right? Someone is texting. Very often, one of the things that I usually say is that as fast as possible, instead of you getting into the texting trap, back and forth, get permission to pick up the phone and give people a call. To close it, right? To seal the meeting. But in that part, when you're scheduling the meeting, well, and again, it's 1,000 ways. So you got to figure out what is best for you. But I'm part of a team who's launching a global wellness movement in Denmark, in Portugal, in England. And I really want to show this to you. Would you be open? And this is key. Would you be open to take a look? And most people are open. And they don't want to be a closed person, right? So most people like to be open, right? But if I say, would you have time to take a look? It's totally different wordings. I really would like to show it to you. Maybe also you want to add because of XYZ. Because I've always viewed you as someone who's a major influence in your field, because because I'm looking for your expertise. Sometimes it would also be, would you mind taking a look, right? Sometimes that is as well okay. So even though, Carla, you say that maybe you ask them for a favor, sometimes actually certain people triggers to take a look because you ask them for a favor, right? So I think that the most important thing, though, get them to the table as soon as possible, and be decisive around that. You have decided you really want to show it to them. People follow clarity. And I think this is one thing that is very important to understand. They don't necessarily follow perfection, but they follow certainty. They follow posture. So if you are decisive around that, you really want them to take a look, there is a very, very high probability that they would like to take a look.
I like that. I like that. So, because, I think excitement is part of it that shows urgency, that we're excited. But because I think it is, sometimes it's the word choice or what you do in certain things that could make a difference for the prospect that kind of tells them. It's kind of like, when you have that last minute sale and it's like today's the last day and you're like, okay, well, I really like those shoes, And so what can we do for people to feel like the train is moving? And if you don't get a part of it, you're going to be missing out. We like that kind of.
Yeah. So let's jump. Well, it's a good question, and let's jump into message when it comes to that. Like, I think that one of the big leadership differences between certain people is this. It's when you make a decision that it's now, you move. And very often, one of the things that I see is that a lot of people, they are very externally driven, which means that a lot of people, they stress out to close out the week and they close out the month because that is demands that has been set on you from an external side. Are you with me on this? You got to meet the deadline, right? You got to meet the deadline. And I think that to a certain degree, we are all a little bit like that. I have to say that this week has been totally crazy for me. I think I've recorded, well, I'm not done with all of the recordings, but at least, I'm going to record 9 recordings for different events going on throughout, the Zinzino world. And then I've been I have no idea how many team meetings, how many leader meetings, how many presentations I've been in. It's been just a packed, crazy week. And I said to Art Jonak, he was kind of like, oh, when is the recording coming? I'm like, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to send it now. So now it's sent for the US event. But I think that sometimes when and I've been knowing about this for a long period of time, that these recordings got to get in. But then, there is other recordings, there is other things that has to be done. So I've been one of those people during this week that have kind of been pushing a little bit the deadline, or pushing to do it before the deadline. So this became a massive week. So we all have that to a certain level. But I think also that one of my big keys that has helped me a lot on my journey has been that I've decided on a deadline before the deadline. And I'm a controller, I'm a typical A-type personality. I gotta admit that, right? So sometimes I like to be in that control. So sometimes I really hate, having the deadlines being pushed on me. And I'm more comfortable with that. But when I then set a deadline for myself, I will totally act on it, right? And I think that is also one of the things that you got to practice, a skill that you got to practice for yourself. Set a deadline prior to the deadline. Push it. Get the tempo up. Do more, because it's incredible what we can manage to create in a very short period of time if we know that this is the day, right? I'm sure that there was probably a lot of extra volume that had to go in for both you, Ricardo, for Patricia, to really get the rank in by the deadline. I know the same for you, Carla, right? So there is always a certain push when we set the deadline. And you can use external deadlines as motivational factors to increase your urgency. But the real miraculous results happens when you manage to create an internal urgency to really make it happen here and now. Now, I'm going to just show some slides because I think this can maybe make a good difference for you when it comes to the level that many of you are on today. Let's see here. If you could give me access, Carla, to just show some slides. Okay, super. And I think maybe you've seen me do a presentation on this before, or maybe you don't remember. But in essence, you know, we have 5 major income levels, I usually say. Where step 1 is the level where you earn between 0 and 10,000 euro. Now, this is one of the levels, I would say, that makes our business model very attractive. Because you can easily get up to 10,000 euros extra a year if you build a good customer base yourself, personal customer base, and you build yourself to executive and stay active on executive. So this is one of the reasons that our business model is super attractive. You don't need to change your whole life to get to this level. And you could actually build a very solid residual income around 10,000 euros a year. And this matters, like for the majority of the people in the world today, 500, 600, 700 euros extra a month, it truly makes a difference. And I think that you all agree with me, right? If you look at all of the different things that has been increasing in price, interest rate, all of the different things that has been happening during the last couple of years, this is a significant difference in living standard when you have that little extra every single month. But for everyone that wants to build a career, you want to continue to grow. And step number 2 is usually when you are between 10,000 and 50,000 euros a year. This is when you are averaging between platinum and director. And this is usually the most challenging level in many ways to be at. I'm just being honest with you. And the reason this is the most challenging level is because here, many of you are running a full-time business and you basically don't have anyone else in your team who's doing it full-time. So you will very often during this time feel that you got to be everywhere to close all of the contracts, right? At this point, you're also the one who's earning the most percentage-wise from the volume you are creating. But very often, and I have a lot of these conversations, it's so easy to just, you know, be in this level for a long period of time without going to the next level because maybe you don't give it that extra push, that extra level. Urgency is very often what is needed to go from level 2 to level 3. Sometimes it's a 90-day game plan where you drastically increase the amount of hours you work. Sometimes it's a game plan where you just decide, you know, during this season, I'm going to bring in 10 new recruits, but where you do some drastic movements that is helping you create a faster duplication, where suddenly there is a lot more that you got to be involved with. You got to delegate more instead of you jumping in and being the hero constantly and trying to do everything for everyone. You got to do it, right? You just got to delegate. You got to do that meeting. I don't have room in my calendar, right? So people rise very often to responsibility when you push and you create that urgency. And very often, again, back to subject, what is needed to go from level 2 that I know and many of you are at today to level 3 that I know that many of you want to be at is an increased amount of urgency over a certain period of time where you just decide, I'm going to make it happen during this season. Now, step 3 is very often when you are between director and crown. And here you're going to feel that there is more duplication naturally happening. And the reason for that is that now you usually also have one other person, sometimes two, who's starting to earn more of a full-time income that now can invest more of their hours doing more meetings. So here you don't feel alone when it comes to pulling the load. You have more people dragging it, pulling together with you. And then you have step number 4, where you are between 100,000 and 1 million. And I know this is a huge gap, you know, we're averaging here around crown to elite president. And here is also where you have, you know, lots of people who's doing more on a serious basis, many people who's, you know, stepping up. Here is where you are building a business. I think that this, one of the things that is so easy to fall into the trap of is that when you're at step 2, very often, especially if you come from the world where you are self-employed in your previous job, you will start to question, is this really worth my time? Now, you all know the cash flow quadrant, right? 95% of the world is on the left side, 5% on the right side. 95% is sharing 5% of the money, 5% is sharing 95% of the money. And being unemployed, being self-employed, very often I have coachings and I say, well, I meet this objection and they say that, well, as a freelancer, as a consultant, I will just pull in a lot more money if I just invest half of my time on my consulting business. Why should I do that? I'm stuck at this level. And my answer is always, because you're not building a self-employed business here. You're building an actual business where if you just push through this level, you're going to go from step 2 to step 3, and you're actually also going to go to step 4, because now you're developing systems, you're creating leverage where you suddenly have a lot more people who's doing what you do now. Then you get the freedom that you're looking for, but it requires a major push, and it also requires being okay with maybe earning a little less per hour over a certain amount of time to get to that right side, right? Step number 5, 1 million plus. There is basically no limit to what you can create here. And I think that very often one of the things that a lot of people think is that these leaders who rank advanced to ambassador to president, they have some kind of magical thing about them. Well, I acknowledge all of our leaders, but I think that and they have many different strengths that they've been building their business upon. But I think that the one thing that is always the commonality among everyone is consistency over time, where they've also managed, let's see here, do you still see my slides here? No, okay, I stopped sharing. Just give me a sec here. Where they have developed their skills in the 7 most important areas that they got to master. We all got to master. We got to master how to find prospects. We got to master how to invite, how to present, how to follow up, how to close, how to get people started, how to promote. This is the key. When you are consistent in these activities, and when you are, I usually say that you're going to be at least a 7. If you grade yourself from 1 to 10, you're still going to be probably a 7 and above in each of these 7 levels or 7 steps. You will automatically be a 3 and above when it comes to the different steps of income. So we constantly want to work on our skills, our professional skills around these specific areas. So to sum it all up, when it comes to urgency, number 1, don't just use external deadlines. use also internal deadlines. Work on your internal deadlines. When you increase your enthusiasm, that will always affect people around you. And I think that if it's okay that I use 5 more minutes, Carla, one of the big traps, again, is that people don't have belief enough in themselves. And a lot of people, they come to me and they say, well, I'm not so confident. That's my problem. Confidence is a muscle that you constantly got to exercise. Every time when you schedule another meeting, every time that you do a follow through, you close a contract, you enroll a partner, you bring in a new customer, you onboard someone, you bring them through the system, you are building trust in the most important person that you're going to have on your side. And it's not your upline, it's not your downline, it's you. So 2 of my biggest keys that I've been very focused on during my career is this. I have been very deliberately uppered my vision and spoken my vision out loud. And I don't necessarily have the time to go into a lot of talks around why that, but I think that is very important, because every time that you upper your vision, you lift your eyes, and you speak your vision out loud, well, you are building certainty. Now, even though you don't necessarily believe it in the beginning, eventually you will start to believe it. Because your brain changes and rewires through repetition, obsession, right? And being a little bit extreme about what you want. That is one of the most important things. Now, when you repeat something with intensity and emotion over time, you start to believe it yourself. And then suddenly people around you start to believe it. And then people want to follow your lead. So you're going to lead with your vision. People need to understand that they want to be under your umbrella, right? And then number 2, also very important, make sure that your actions support your words. So when you say something, I'm going to do this now in June, do it. Very easy, because when you do it, you build trust. Now, do you always reach your targets? I don't necessarily, but what I hold myself accountable for is my actions. And I know that as long as I control my actions, eventually over time, even though I've missed the majority of my goals on the deadline, I usually just push the deadline and I continue until. That's the magic secret. Now here in June, we have some incredible campaigns, but my favorite one probably is the enrollment campaign, where basically if you enroll one ultimate kit, and you know this is a repetition for you, but I just need to make a point of it because it's super good, right? If you enroll one ultimate partner yourself, you're going to have 500 credits in your monthly rank up volume used for banking, right? Now, this basically means, my friend, that we can start a new partner, and this partner, as long as they have their customers in place, they can recruit one ultimate partner personally and rank advance both to bronze and to silver their first month. If they recruit two ultimate kits, even though it's on one side, they will get 1,000 credits in banking. So basically, by recruiting 2, as long as you have your customers in place, well, that person is now gold. If they bring in 3, this is so good, 3 ultimate partners, as long as they personally have gotten 10 customers and they have at least 2 in their team that also have brought in 10, well, that person will now be an executive. Now, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. So, there is no reasons why we should not bring just a lot of people to silver, to gold, to executive during the month. We also have the executive rank up campaign. So one of the big things that I also think I mentioned last time, we got to promote the double phone bonus, because that is again a significant extra bonus, right? And there is still 3,800 euros up for grab for those that do that. But I think that if we now work with our team, we make clear plans, and we really decide, let's just push the urgency here. Maybe set a deadline for yourself to close out this month, the 20th. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. You choose, right? And then we take all of the other extra credits as an extra bonus. Normally, the big residual volume, it's coming in, from the 22nd, 23rd, 24th. But imagine what a rocket growth you can actually create. You decide the pace. And what I'm absolutely confident about is that we're going to create some incredible success stories together. And now, one of the things that is also important for me to mention, we go into the summer, and remember this, that the pace you enter the fall with will set a standard for the fall. I know many of you have big targets for September, for October, for November, but now is the time to push towards that. But make sure of one thing. I don't want you to burn your light or the candle in both ends. So also, as we enter this summer, be good about 2 things. Manage your energy. Make sure that you also have some time off, that you take some time off, that you have some recharging time with your family, with your close ones, so that you are perfectly well set when we start the fall. And then also be good at delegating in your team, so that not everyone is on holiday during the same time. Be strategic, be smart with it, and then we're just going to create this rocket growth during the fall. And who knows, maybe we're going to see even more ambassadors in this team. So appreciate you very much. Love you guys. Let's close this month with a big explosion. And yeah, let's just do it.
I'm letting that be our boom ending. Let's just do it, guys. Thank you, Hilde, so much for taking the time for all of us. We love you, Hilde. You are our role model, and we're following you. And I think there's a lot of people going to be hitting this June hard. Thank you for the amazing campaigns. Let's rock it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hilde.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hilde and Carla. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. The group that has
Okay,
the
thank you.
Thursday, the 90-day group that has Thursday, let's put your numbers in the group, okay?
Yep.
The rest of you are in
Okay.
your groups. So super. Take care.
Bye bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.